So I think we kind of went over this one already, but I'm still gonna ask it anyway. Are you a planner or do you just kind of write your novels?
I'm a planter, according to my professor from like creative writing 520, I think the class was. Um, so basically, a planter does both. Like you plan, but then you write as you go along, and the plan kind of changes, which is totally okay. It happens to everybody.
See, I've heard it be called a pantster too. Like someone
Yeah. So
may
Panther doesn't plan at all. Panther just sits down and kind of just wings it. A
okay.
planter plans and then pants.
Weird writing terms. Got it.
Yeah.
Never heard of that
Weird writing
before.
terms 101.
We should do a segment of that.
Yes. I'm
Come up with
totally here for it.
yeah, we should do a segment of that and then just do like weird writing terms 101.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm down for whatever you want to do.
What would you be doing if you didn't write? Which I you kind of went over this too, I think.
Mhm. So, I kind of do everything that I would be doing if I didn't write. So I'm a teacher, which is something I told my parents I would be since I was 6. Um, an author is something I told my parents I'd be since I was 6. An editor is something I told my parents I'd be since I was 6. Traveling the world is something I told my parents I would do since I was 6, and I'm doing it all. My dad was a very reach for the sky and don't stop until you get there kind of person. Um, so I didn't say this in the first interview, but the whole reason I'm doing everything that I set out to do is because my dad is an immigrant from Guyana, and he left his entire family and came to the United States. And he didn't let the sky be his limit. So he didn't teach us to do that. He taught us to be like him, to get out in the world, to do everything you set your heart to. But education had to be first. So we could be anything we wanted as long as we had one professional thing behind us to fall back on. And then after that, he didn't care what we did. So we are all doing in a variation of what we set out to do.
Good. Yeah,
So, and then my mom, she's the same way. She messed up and she was like, I don't want anybody else to mess up. I should have gone back and I don't want you to be telling your kids, oh, I should have done X, Y, and Z. Just go ahead and do it. The worst you can do is fail.
right. That's the worst
So,
possible. And that's what I tell my 10-year-old niece. I go, because she's like, I don't like school. I'm like, you have to go to school. I go, and you need to go to college. I said, I don't care
mm-hmm,
what you get a degree in. I don't even care if it's a vocational school for a year, for 6 months, for 9 months. You need some type of degree. I said, because you have to have something in the
mm-hmm,
world in order to get anywhere. And she doesn't really understand that, but I think she's kind of starting to. And
mm-hmm. It starts young. When you instill it now, she'll remember it later. My
yeah,
nephew's 14. My oldest nephew, I have 3. My oldest nephew's 14. He's going into high school in September, and school hasn't been kind to him. Um, he struggles a little bit because he doesn't have, I feel like his first couple of years in school as a kid, he didn't have teachers who cared enough.
yeah,
But now that he does, he kind of doesn't know what to do with those teachers because now he's like, oh,
right,
but they're constantly on my back. And I'm like, that's because they know you have potential.
yeah, yeah,
So I hope that his teachers will be kind to him this year and will be
yeah,
down his neck and on his back, because I will be.
right.
Because
Ant
I will
mode, ant mode.
definitely be
That's how I am too. I'm ant mode all the time.
all
Ant
the
mode.
time. Like
Got
I can be friend mode too, but ant mode first, and then if you show me you can do it, then okay, we can be best friends. No big deal.
right. Yep.
Yep.
That's exactly my views on being an ant.
Yep.
100%. Do you ever Google yourself?
No,
Really?
I never Google myself.
Right.
No, I don't.
It's so
I
fun
don't want
to
to
see what
know.
comes up.
I don't want to know what people are saying about me. I should have though. And I'll tell you a funny story, and I'm glad that we're redoing this because yesterday I met somebody with the same exact name as me.
What?
So now everybody knows Aimee Shaye is my pen name. It's not my real name. So I probably should have Googled before I made it my pen name just to see if there was anybody else.
Right.
The funny thing is she is an actor.
No.
And she plays like a couple of extras in roles, and she messaged me yesterday because some blogger like messaged her saying that it was me asking for her to review The Broken Daughter for $70. And so she was like, I don't know if you even want to message this person back because I did research and she's completely sketch. And I was like, yeah, no, definitely. I didn't even email this. I don't even know how, whatever.
That's so crazy.
Moral of the story is I should have Googled myself. Aimee Shaye, who that's her real name, is actually really cool. And I sent her my book last night, so I hope she likes it.
That's awesome. That's really funny though.
Yeah, so I totally should have Googled myself.
Yeah, I've Googled myself only because there was a reason behind it, and like there was some sort of like scam on Facebook going on or something a couple years ago or whatever, and people somehow got my name and stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, well now I have to go and make everything private. So
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes
yeah,
sense.
so I had to Google myself, and now when I Google myself, none of that stuff comes up. It's just
Okay.
about my books and stuff
Well,
like
there
that.
you go. That's the
Yeah,
better stuff to come up. Like, I would hate to, like, do it under my real name and then, like, my old MySpace comes up and I'm like, that's why I
I
don't want to
tried
do
to
it.
find my old MySpace, and it's not even active anymore. Like, no, MySpace is not even a thing.
Oh my gosh, thank God for that. So maybe it won't come up because I
And
don't
for
even
those who
remember.
don't know what MySpace is that are listening to this, it was long before Facebook.
It still exists. The
Does
website is still out there. And I did make a profile as Aimee Shaye a while ago because people were thinking about jumping ship and going back to MySpace,
I did
and it never took off again.
Yeah.
Like, because you couldn't do the same things. Like, you couldn't add music to your background. The whole layout was just gross and Facebook-like. So we were all like, no, we'll just stay. Whatever.
I did hear about that everybody thought about going back to Facebook or going back to MySpace for Facebook, but I didn't think that was a legit thing.
Yeah, we tried. We failed.
What is your favorite childhood book?
My favorite childhood book is The Little Prince.
And what is that?
Okay, so The Little Prince is a story about a little prince who's from this planet, and I think it's like dying. Oh my gosh, I can't like remember the full story right now, but I think the planet is dying or whatever because he's not on it. So he has to like figure out how to get back home, and it's a really sad kind of uplifting story as well. It's kind of like in the same ballpark with The Giving Tree.
Okay.
Yes, it's kind of like in that range.
In
The
that,
only reason I read it was because of Sherilyn Kenyon. I don't know if you're
yeah,
familiar with her.
I am.
Okay.
I love her work.
I love the Dark Hunter series, and in book 4, which is it Zarek's book? This is like Zarek's favorite book was The Little Prince, and he quotes it when talking to Astrid. And
Okay,
that's the
so
only
it's
reason I
like
went.
it's like a series based off like the Beatles and the Bard from Harry Potter type deal.
Right.
Okay, I got you. So it's basically all right. I got it now. The concept.
Yeah, so like in her book, she like I think Astrid is like asking him about like maybe that was a conversation, it was like his favorite book, or maybe it was just something that he quoted all the time.
Okay.
And like when she finally asked him like, oh, what is this about? He then tells her, well, it's The Little Prince by, and then he gives her like the author name or whatever.
Okay.
And it's like a French author. I think the last name is like Saint Exupéry or something like that. I can't pronounce it,
Okay.
but definitely look it up.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to now. And last but not least, where can we find you on social media, and how can people contact you?
So I am on all social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, which I hope they don't ban. I will send you my link tree because it just has all of my social media under one link.